What's going on, YouTube? What you're about to see now is the second part of my trip out to Osmun Reptiles. Honestly, I really wasn't planning on doing two parts to this when I started, but we just got so much good footage out there, and I didn't want to make one 30-minute long video because I figured everybody kind of get bored about part of the way through and stop watching it, so I cut it into two different parts. Mike's a really cool dude. He has a lot of awesome stuff, and I had a great time out there. So, Mike, thanks again for letting me come out. If you have not done so, please check out the description below and go subscribe to his YouTube channel and like his Facebook page. Hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah,
and this is just a super chocolate?
It's just super chocolate. She's dull right now because she's going in the shed, but it's a beautiful snake. While you have that snake out, I will show you my big plans for that snake. Is this boy here, who also knows it's feeding day, and this here. This is a chocolate GHI.
Okay.
Who's actually also 100% het albino. But this boy will go to her once they're both big enough. And obviously my goal is to make the super chocolate GHI. Which, why I want to do that is a lot of people think that the super chocolate already looks like there's GHI in it.
Mm-hmm.
It looks very similar to the GHI. So I thought that would be pretty cool to make a super chocolate GHI. Which I don't think anyone has made yet. Now they said that, I'll probably be pictures all over Facebook with that.
Yeah, 6 months down the road, they're going to pop up everywhere.
Yeah. So I have these are my two 2014 season prides. I have the gargoyle male here. Gargoyle is the het red xanthic cinnamon. And then here we have a pastel lesser yellow belly female. She also has a nice ringer on her tail. And I have some cool plans for both of them for next year. Hopefully she eats better and gets big enough. I have that Spark B that didn't breed for me this year, even though I had an awesome girl for him. Spark B and him, I think, could make some pretty awesome 4 or 5 gene things. And then this guy, I have a black bee that I think I'm going to put this to.
Okay.
I think that'll be cool because I can make the cinnamon black pastels, I can make the het red black pastels, and then everything could have spider on top of it. So I have some cool plans for 2016 for these two animals. If she gets up the size, he'll be up the size, no problem. He eats like a pig.
Yeah, that's one of the things I actually, when you were going to bring this one out, I was like, this is the perfect time to bring this up. Do you notice that the darker morphs eat better than the lighter morphs most of the time?
You know, I've never thought about it before, but if you look at a lot of my darker morph snakes eat very, very well. I mean, this snake here is it's hard, the same exact age, but this cinnamon that I pulled out earlier, she lets me pull it out. They are clutch mates. Now they're both dark morphs, but just as this animal here was eating, he hatched, shed, started taking rodents, and eats, weaned rats now. While this animal took almost 2 months to eat. Now again, not a great example because it's a dark morph.
Right. But
the animal in your hand was hatched in April, and this animal was hatched in August. And she's 800 grams, he's 400 grams, but still,
he's catching up.
Yeah. And he's a male, so I don't feed him as often as I I offer her food every time. She rarely eats it. Him, it's usually once a week. Sometimes if I have extra food, twice a week. My girls, I offer food twice a week.
Right.
And you can see just how much she eats.
I've noticed with mine, my darker morphs, they're more aggressive, and they eat better because they're more aggressive. Like, I have a handful of dark morphs that are, not typical ball pythons. They'll try and bite you every single time.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of my, I have a green pastel, which a lot of people will say the same thing as the het red xanthic. Pretty much is. But he, I got him in July, I think, and he was 700 grams by November. He fed like a horse. And it seems like anything I get that's light, it'll eat, but not nearly as good as the darker morphs. I don't know if there's any correlation there. There's probably.
It's definitely interesting.
I don't know, but that's just something I've noticed with my snakes at least. So how did you get into snakes? Reptiles.
Reptiles, snakes, together. My dad's a science teacher, big reptile guy, animal lover, and he got me into animals and the reptiles, into the outdoors, into science. I now also am a science teacher, And for whatever reason, reptiles really struck my interest. I do love all sorts of other animals. I have dogs, I have cats.
You can hear the dog right now.
Dog barking in the background, yeah. I have lizards, turtles, all those other things. But for whatever reason, I like the snakes. Maybe it's because so many people are afraid of them that I was attracted to them because I wanted to have something different. But yeah, I would give my first love for animals in general was my dad, and then of course I grew up with Steve Irwin, Crocodile Hunter, and he's number two, I would say, on the idol that motivated me to both being a science teacher as well as being a wildlife relocator, snake breeder, educational shows with reptiles. You know, all those things I kind of put to my dad and Steve Irwin.
Gotcha. Yeah, I have a pair of carpet pythons, and that's strictly because of Steve Irwin. I always saw him, on his shows, and he would always say how mighty they are. And I was like, well, I want to have a snake that's that's going to take some work to get used to. And I do. I have the female, who's she's about 7 feet long, and she pretends like she's going to bite you. She won't. She postures like she will. She's never bitten me ever. And then I have the male, Jag, who is an absolute asshole. He bites me every chance he gets. So he's still got some work to do. But yeah, that's Steve Irwin. I grew up watching that show, and that's definitely one of the things that got me into it.
I've been to Australia 3 times actually. The first 2 times I went specifically because I wanted to visit a zoo. I think the first time I went he was still alive, but he was not at the zoo. The second time I may have been after he passed away. The most recent time was my honeymoon. But it was right after the honeymoon that I started getting some of my Australian species, like the children's python, the Woma python. I'd love to get a blackhead and carpets at some point. Actually, can't see it here, but on the back wall there's my unopened Steve Irwin figurine that I've had for probably almost 10 years now, maybe even longer. Never going to open it.
Alright, so what am I holding here?
So that is a lemon pastel calico male from Nerd. Nerd sells these things for much cheaper now, but this one has a really nice ringer on the bottom.
I was just looking at
that. And when that male was got, it was when the pastel calicos were
top
dollar, yeah. And I have 2 females that he's been going to all season. Neither of them have ovulated yet, so I'm really hoping I get them to go because I think I could get some cool stuff out of that.
Yeah, this is cool.
The fire female for obviously going for the firefly calicos, and the spider female going for the cali bees. But hopefully those girls go late for me since they haven't yet done anything.
All right, and we briefly talked about the Woma earlier. I don't know if you guys actually saw it. But
yeah, this is one of the Australian species. Back to our Steve Irwin talk. But this is just a young female Woma. They get much bigger than this. But she's about a 400 gram right now. But the Womas do get up to like 6 feet, and she'll have a much larger cage someday.
All right. So you mentioned earlier that you're a teacher. Where or what grade do you teach?
I teach 6th and 7th grade. I have taught high school and I have taught 8th grade, but the last few years have been 6th and 7th.
Okay.
I teach health actually, and science. Science is the main thing. Health is something I just picked up the last few years because there's a lot of overlap in the science and health curriculums. So I figured it'd be cool to teach something new, and it's definitely fun. It can be interesting teaching middle schoolers about family life, for instance, and stuff. But
do your students know this is what you do?
Yeah.
Outside
for the science purpose, I bring up all the time that I'm into snakes. I do snake stuff. I breed snakes. In 7th grade, we were just doing Punnett squares and genetics, and I actually was using my snakes that just laid clutches as examples and doing the Punnett squares with the kids, showing them the probabilities that I could get with those particular breedings that I did and everything.
Perfect. And you said earlier you have announced this, so anybody who watches his channel, he's announced it on Facebook, he has announced it on his YouTube channel. He is, not him personally, his wife is expecting a baby. So one of the questions that I had, which is something I've been thinking about for the future as well, with the baby coming, are you anticipating having to reduce the clutch, kind of maintain it for a while, or are you still going to expand it when the baby comes?
I think when the baby first comes, it's going to be maintain. Reduce is not in my near future, or at least not in my eyes in the near future. So maintain. Maybe do a little bit more trading than actually going out and buying, adding new animals. But maintain definitely, I would say. And if anything, it would be expanding. An ultimate goal for Osmun Reptiles is to move out of our house and get a facility and all that. But Yeah, I would say right now maintaining
Yeah.
is where it probably is.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've been doing now. You know, if I wasn't, I'm planning on buying a house, probably within about a year, hopefully less than that actually. And you know, normally I'd probably be having an update video on a new snake that I picked up like every other month. But right now I'm really planning on, or what do I need 18 months down the road? What racks am I gonna need? What incubator am I gonna need? So I'm spending a lot more money on the equipment that I'm gonna need, so that way I can continue to expand when I buy the house, and I don't have to get rid of anything, so it grows out of the rack that that it has, and I have to get rid of it. That's obviously, I think me and him are on the same wavelength there, at least.
Yeah, so that's definitely important for the new reptile people that are coming up. Not that either of us have huge collections,
No.
but remember, your animals do grow,
Yeah.
and racks are not cheap. I mean, these vision racks are $1,000 each probably. If you're buying them brand new, you can find some used on some of these Facebook groups and things, but usually you have to drive out and pick them up and whatnot. And you can get better deals when they're used, but they're not cheap. And
none of this is cheap.
Yeah.
None of it's cheap. It takes time, money. Before, I mean, I'm not profitable, but it's probably going to take me another 3-4 years before I'm profitable.
Yeah.
I do it because I love it.
Exactly.
I would, of course, it's not about the money. Everyone says that. Don't get me wrong. I want to get to a point where the stuff at least pays for itself.
Yeah. That would be nice.
And if that's greedy, you can hate me all you want to. I'm sorry. It's not realistic to pump a ton of money into anything, and not try to at least get some back on the back end. You know what I mean? But it takes time, it takes money. So you always got to be thinking a year, 2 years down the road. So yeah, definitely for anybody young or new that's getting into it, don't think you're gonna hop into this and a year or two down the road you're gonna be seeing a lot of money. It's not gonna happen. I think anybody that does the breeding and the reptiles, the long-term dream is always, you want to have your own facility. You want to be able to do it for a living. Realistically, is it realistic? It's absolutely possible. I'm not saying it's a pipe dream.
Yeah.
But, realistically for me, if I can get to a point where, 10 years down the road, I can do this full time and, maybe work a part-time job just for some extra money, like when it's not breeding season, that would be awesome. But I find it funny that, a couple of times he's mentioned off camera, oh, well, hopefully in the future, and I'm the exact same way. I just don't really put it on camera too much because, you're always going to have those people that are like, oh, it's never going to happen, and then, well, you know what, I don't really care if it's going to happen or not. That's always, I think that's anybody's long-term dream that's involved in anything like this. And I think, it's not, as long as you're not pumping all your money into it, you're not paying your bills, then, it's not unreasonable to think that.
Yeah, I tell my students even, that an ultimate dream is the facility, but it might take me 30 years of working as a teacher to get to that ultimate dream, retire, have a pension, and then maybe make enough money with this and my pension that I can still pay my bills. But to me, I know a lot of people are worried about retirement. What am I going to do when I retire? And to me, there's nothing I'm worried about when I retire, because when I retire, I'll have all day to do my reptiles instead of just every morning, every afternoon, and every evening.
As long as you can get up and operate through the day, this is not something that's age restricted, like most things are, Yeah,
my dad is 76 and he still helps me with, if I go on vacation, my dad's here taking care of all these reptiles for me.
Awesome. Yeah.
My dad goes on reptile removal jobs with me, still does educational shows still, and he's 76 years old.
That's awesome. Alright, so my battery just died, so we're switching the battery on the camera. And he was bringing up a point that actually I thought we should definitely talk about. The time, that's in here. And it's not a once a week thing, a twice a week thing. It's an every single day, responsibility that you have. And you were telling me about you have to tell your students and your coworkers.
Yeah, so as a teacher, I tell my students all the time about my reptiles, and a lot of my coworkers also ask about them. And it's been asked how much time is spent, because I have a small compared to the big time guys, but a decent collection. And I basically, I'm up at 5 o'clock every morning. I don't have to be at work till 7, but I spend probably 30 minutes to an hour in here cleaning, checking animals, watering every morning. I get home probably about 3:30 most days, and I'm immediately, I'm in the room, again, checking, cleaning, feeding. During breeding season, you're pulling males, changing males. Males and females make it really dirty during breeding season. And then I usually am in here at least once, if not 2 other times every day, just checking animals, that are in shed, or, if an animal went to the bathroom, and you walk in, you smell it, you want to clean it, you want to get it all taken care of. So, like I said, I'm spending at least 3, if not 4 or 5 times in here every day, and spending probably 2 to 3, 4 hours in here every single day.
How much time a week do you think you spend in here?
I mean, let's say if I did 7 times 2 hours a day, it would be 14, and up to 14 to probably 35 hours a week I spend in here.
14 to 35.
You know, depending a lot on, animals going to the bathroom and shedding, animals breeding season in here a lot. Now I'm looking for ovulations and eggs every day, so I spend even more time checking all these girls. And feeding days are really long. I have 2 main feeding days, and I use iHerb, iHerb.com if you want to check that out. But iHerb, and I'm finally starting to get away from the cards a little bit. I only put sheds, and if a male and female are together now on the cards. But I put all the feeding data and breeding, shedding, all that stuff on iHerb. And my wife often is in here helping me, so a lot of times she might be typing iHerb while I'm checking snakes and all that kind of stuff. So there's a second person in here working as well. Also, sometimes my brother-in-law's in here working, my dad.
Yeah, so that's awesome. You have the additional help. But yeah, going back to the time issue, as I said earlier, I work 2 jobs, and my second job has really been pushing for me to spend more time there. And the only reason I work the second job is because I make pretty good money there, and I'm trying to save for a house. And they've really been pushing for me to spend more time there. And they're like, what about Saturdays? I'm like, no, I have the snake room to deal with Saturday. And they always look at me and laugh. And I'm like, I mean, I work 2 jobs. The snake room, and I don't want to say it's like a job because I do enjoy it. But
Yeah,
legitimately, time-wise, it's like a 3rd job for me.
Mm-hmm.
I have, I want to say probably about half the size of the collection that he does. And I mean, I still probably spend 15 hours a week in the snake room. So I mean, it's a huge time commitment, regardless. But I mean, if you enjoy it, what difference does it make?
That's what I look forward to every morning and every afternoon, right?
Okay, so what do you got here?
This is it's a snake I produced. It's should just be a melanistic, but I think there's something else in there that I have not been able to figure out because I've never produced another one like it from the same parents. I call it a sun-kissed melanistic. It looks a lot like the sun-kissed melanistics that I've seen online. But like I said, I've never been able to produce another one like it. And it has the same type of belly that the striped corns have. It doesn't have the checkered belly like your other corns. So this is one of my pride and joy corn snakes that I've produced.
Blackhead versus GHI.
Well, since I have the GHI, I gotta go GHI right now.
Right.
But that is another morph that I'm interested in, the blackhead. I love the combos. I'm not a big fan of it by itself.
Yeah,
but
it's
the
not.
combos
Yeah.
I think are awesome, and I think comboing it in with again the chocolates and the GHIs, those darker morphs. I think and also the cinnamons, the head reds. I think those combos are really really cool. But again, because I got the GHI and next year's gonna be a GHI year for me, I gotta stick to the GHIs.
yeah. We'll do a little spoiler here. One of the next things I'm gonna be getting, it's either gonna be a GHI or blackhead. It's going to be het for something. I won't tell you what it is right now. If you follow me on Facebook, you're actually friends with me personally. I don't have a business page yet, but if you're friends with me personally on Facebook, you probably have already seen that I've been looking for it. Alright, so we're going to close out this video, and I got one final question. If money was not an issue, what's the one snake you would buy?
Money's not an issue, one snake. Sunset, I think. I don't know why I love those sunsets.
See, I told him I wasn't going to tell him what the question was because I figured it'd take him longer to answer it. Nope. Yeah, he had an answer ready.
I've been thinking about that one for a while. Yeah, the sunsets I love. I think their Facebook page is Brad Boas, but they have a lot of sun-kissed. What's this? Sunset stuff going on, and I don't know. I love the reds on the snakes. I love like the red boas.
And it's like it's not really like a bright red. It's like an earthy.
Bronze red or bronzed orange.
No, nobody says that. They're really, really good looking snakes.
And I feel like if you put that with like the super chocolate, and you get a bronze red on top of that brown, or even GHI with it, I think there's a lot of cool things, and that is, I think, if money wasn't an issue, what I would have. But the other one I thought a lot about is the whole highway projects with the yellow belly stuff, because I do have a lot of Spark and Spectre and yellow belly stuff, so I feel like it'll fit great into my collection. So I thought a lot about that as well. But the sunset one is just one that I'm always, man, win that lottery.
Way down the road when it's affordable for a small time guy.
Trade half my collection, I still only have a down payment.